Spreecast. All right, not as loud as my normal drum roll here. We've got let's see, we've got Matt. How do we say it? LaFontaine. LaFontaine and his brother Kyle on XI today with my man Chris. How you doing, buddy?
How's it going, man? Yep.
You hear me all right? I think I'm on a delay. That's all right, because I said hello, Chris, and I don't know if he's heard me yet. So I'm here from London today. It's been a little crazy. My head's been extremely clogged up for the last few days. It just cleared up a day ago. So I was in Canada last week for an amazing event called Mastermind Talks, and I'll actually link up the video highlight that I put together here shortly. But I met Matt and Kyle at this event. And so, as we were just talking before the call, anybody at this event must be of some type of amazing caliber and quality just because of the level of people and everything that was at this event. We're going to have some amazing people on future XI calls from that event well, let's see, there's one guy named AJ Jacobs. That I got to interview, or that I got to meet. I don't know if any of you guys met him. He lived biblically for a year, which is pretty crazy, and he has some great stories and some great insight. And then we've got another guy, who was it? Well, next week I'm having on my good friend Alex Icon and UJ, who have a thing called the 5-Minute Journal, which I think Matt and Kyle might have got to grab one of the 5-minute journals. But some pretty exciting stuff, guys. And we're going to get going here in just a second with Kyle and Matt. Basically, if anybody's new to XI today, welcome. We appreciate you being here. And if you guys want to interact in the chat, you're just going to have to log in via Facebook or Twitter. But also the second half of the show, we take your questions. And so you'll just use submit a question box right below Chris. And it'll ask you to log in via Facebook or Twitter if you're not logged in, and you'll be good to go. So we'll do that the second half. And then a video that we're going to be referencing a little bit here at the beginning of the conversation is the video that I just put up on the screen. And so Matt and Kyle, we had talked that this video kind of set things off for you at the beginning. And you guys just really started your company 6 months ago, and I want to reel off just one of the biggest clients that you've already got under your belt. Let's see here. Where are we? New Balance is one of the ones that people would probably recognize. I think if you're from Canada, you might recognize WildAid, Naked and Famous Denim, and Intact Insurance. But New Balance is one of the bigger ones. Now, a lot of people that we have as members are always wondering, gosh, I've been in business for a year, or 5 years, or 10 years, and I can't land a client like New Balance. And so take us back a little bit like we talked about beforehand, and just the strategy that went into that, or just how it even kind of almost fell into your lap. We talked a lot about networking, but give us the story kind of leading up to that initial job.
Like I was telling Mike, I've kind of had, athletics has also always just kind of been a part of my life. And so I kind of gained a lot of knowledge over the past 6 or 7 years, just on kind of a lot of knowledge on nutrition and fitness and stuff like this. So I came out of school 2 years ago. I was in film school for 3 years for film and television production. And I was kind of trying to figure out what to do. I was doing a little bit of freelance work. I remember I had got the opportunity to do something for a vacation company. And that's actually when I decided to buy my first camera, which was a Panasonic GH2, and that's hacked, so it just had amazing footage at the time. So anyway, I started to do a little bit of freelance work, and I had some good stuff going, but it just wasn't flowing in a way where I was confident enough to just do freelance only. And a good friend of mine was working at this gym at the time, and it was basically a personal training studio, so you couldn't just walk in and have a membership to this gym. You needed to buy sessions. And so he said, hey man, I know you know your stuff, and you're great with people and stuff, I'd love to have you in. So anyway, I started there, and he just said, I can't tell you how many great people I've met in this gym. And I think that when people put aside the time and the money to personal train, they're really committing to something. And I also think it takes I think there's a certain level of success that's maybe associated with people who are doing all their training with personal trainers, just because it's sort of expensive. So anyway, I started in there, and was training away, and we actually had planned a trip. His dad kind of put together a trip, and we all went to Haiti. And that was to build an orphanage over the course of about 7 or 10 days. And so I decided to bring my gear down, what I had, and make something out of it. And I knew it was going to be tough because we're even going to find electricity. We don't even know the logistics down there, and there's so little pictures coming back because there's really no email correspondence from Haiti. So we head down, and with a really bare bones kit, and having some scary situations with the power going out on us while writing onto a hard drive and things like that. We made this video and came back, which the link is right on the bottom there. And when we came back, we just wanted to share our experience. So all the clients, we were sharing this video with them, especially Kyle, which is Kyle Ardell, which is a friend of mine. He's the head trainer of this gym. And, it just, everyone kind of got to see it who was in this gym. And based on that, it's not the highest level of production in the world, but I think what happens is that people watch it and they gain, it really hits them emotionally, and there's some kind of a story there, and it hits deep. And I think people thought to themselves when they saw that, well, how can we translate, I know that was a trip to Haiti, but how can we translate that into our business? And so we started to talk to a few people, and I think one of the first things I did, it was called, Health is Wealth, and some guy said, hey, I want to just talk about the importance of why health is important and how that relates into business, how it makes people sharper. And so that kind of started to bleed into new jobs. And after a few months after that, I think it was coming up to April or maybe the beginning of summer, I decided that, I had a big enough clientele at that point where I said, let's leave and let's do this thing. And Kyle, we were talking at that point too. And, we decided to make this business together. And Kyle's got all these strengths that I don't have, and we kind of combined our forces and started Neon Films.
Perfect. And so the New Balance job came out of a connection with the personal training.
That's
right?
Yeah, there was another person out at that gym. She was the basically the marketing director of Canada for New Balance, and she had seen the video as well, and she voiced to me, hey, I really like that. We're thinking about doing this kind of whole new line of videos, not at commercial level, but kind of, new content for the web. And so she said, I might have an idea to come back to you within a few months. And so I said, yeah, I know, wasn't kind of, really hoping for it, because I knew that there was a good chance that just might not happen altogether. But, ended up did happening, and they wanted to do a little bit of a fashion film, which was essentially, it was advertising their 2013 fall line, which was a kind of a new elite set of clothing that's kind of really techy, and they wanted to make a video where it was advertising these garments in a really cool way, and they could take that on the road with them and kind of drop this link on people's lap and gain new business from that. And so that ended up happening, and it was a success.
Perfect. Now talk to me for 1 second, because we did talk about this only subtly beforehand. With the New Balance job, you said that they said, we're going to think about it. It might be in a couple months. Now, did you stay in contact with her during that couple months? Did you just lose touch and then she just contacted you back? Like, what was that process? Because sometimes, we allow ourselves to have somebody say, yeah, we're going to do that with you, and then we never touch base with them. They forget all about it, and then nothing ever happens from it, right? So what did that look like?
Yeah, first of all, I knew that there was a chance that this could happen, but there was also a great chance that it might not happen. One thing I've learned definitely over the past couple years, or just getting the potential to do certain work for people, is a lot of people say, you'll hear enough from them where you're like, I'm going to talk to these people in the next 3 days, and we're going to sign a contract and get this work going, and then it kind of just, they disappear. They're hard to get in touch with. So I did keep in touch with her, and I think I might have still been at the gym at this point. And so, sometimes I'd be in there at night, and she'd come in, and, we just talk about whatever and keep our relationship going. And it got to the point where she got in touch with me by email, and she said, hey, we'd really like to get this stuff going on the road. And I said, let's set up a meeting as soon as possible. And we just kind of sat down at a Starbucks, and of course, I just, trying to figure out what the goal was for them at first, and they had this idea in mind, which I think that if we had executed the original idea, it wouldn't have been anywhere close to what we had done. But I tried to take what they were trying to do and transform it into something that would not only be fantastic for them and I think would have blown people away at the top level, but also something that we could carry forward and, hopefully advertise as some of our work. So.
Well, now that's a good point. So you're saying that they had an idea, because we hear this a lot with our members. A client comes in with this idea, and we always, as the producer, sometimes think, well, we got to produce exactly what they're doing. Now, if I heard you correctly, did you say you told them and educated them to an idea that you thought would better serve them? Is that right? Oh, are you hearing me?
Oh.
Did you guys lose me? Whoa, 1 second. Sorry,
guys.
Just
cutting out a bit. I just missed the last part of the question there.
Well, Kyle, do you know if I heard you correctly, he had an idea basically that was, let me try to bring it back on, but basically he was saying how they had an idea, and then he came back and said, I've got this idea, and I think this is going to better serve you.
So
is that what happened?
They had a seed of an idea. Typically I think like a lot of clients will find something that they like already and they send you a reference. And they say we want something like this. But really I think they just knew that they wanted to showcase clothing in a way. And I think the original idea was almost just like setting up a fashion show runway and shooting it. And as we discussed with them more and more, we said, yeah, you can't do that, but there's a way to do this much better. So we just put our heads together, and over a day or two, we really just crammed a bunch of ideas and came up with the best ones, and just sent a bunch of references of things that we thought would be really over-delivering. And when they saw that and saw that, this is a reality for us, and they kind of thought, oh, wow, we didn't know that this was an option, or we didn't know that this type of work was available to us. And that was it. And they just got really excited about that idea. And I think when you show them those ideas, they kind of give you like a la carte and say, okay, clearly, you have some ideas, or the content that's out there, or the content that's possible better than we did. At least that was the situation with these guys. So we were really fortunate in that sense. They really gave us freedom to just this is kind of what we want done. We're going to trust that you guys get to do this, which anyone who's a creative, that's the dream, to just be able to have that creative freedom. So we came up with something for them that we thought would be ideal for a sales situation, because essentially they were going to all their major distributors on this big tour across the U.S., and they were using this video as part of their sales presentation. So all the feedback we got was from the actual people doing the sales presentations. And they had just like a killer year, and they set up all these deals and that with this video. So they were just thrilled about it. That's really how it came.
Perfect. Now, Matt, if I remember correctly, Aviv here in the chat saying, is that video available to check out? I think you told me that there's still, they haven't.
Yeah, it's basically so.
Yeah, go ahead.
Here's the toughest part about that video is that it was basically previewing something that will fall or will launch in fall 2013. So, until that date comes and they put that out, I really can't put any of that work out because it was an internal thing, and they were just sharing it with buyers. Running stores and fitness stores and so on and so forth. So, we've had chances to do stuff with other athletic companies, and that's our most relevant piece of work, and yet, I can't show anything because that's such a conflict of interest. And it's not even you can never, you never want to even set up a temporary link because it's just, you want to keep your clients' work secret, and unfortunately, I wish I could show you guys, but it wasn't. And the basic gist of it is that rather than having a runway where people were walking up and coming back, and she was just thinking of a locked off camera, what we did is we took everyone to this gym, super polished, and we basically graced 12 different outfits with these models with them on, with dollies and stuff like that. And then we did 3D, essentially motion graphics that were 3D tracked. So when we moved in that space, it looked like all the animations that were coming out and detailing the different features on these garments were, tied to them in a static 3D space. So it was, the video was technical, and it was, I guess, it was pretty and it was technical, and basically that was a perfect mirror of their pretty and technical fashion line.
Perfect. Well, I think the thing that I want to take away for different people here is that, one, schmoozing, as we say, on our Insider members a lot, is go where the money is, go where the contacts are. One of the big takeaways, I'm sure one of the guys on one of the interviews that you did said this, but your network is your net worth. And so the big thing is that, the people that if you went to a gym, you went to gym, I'm assuming that this was a more high-end gym. There was personal training. It wasn't a 24-hour fitness where it was like $10 a month to join this place. It was a more high caliber.
Yeah.
Am I right?
You're looking at there was different packages, but for the most part, you're looking at an hour of time is worth $65 to $80, or even up to $100 if people are doing really specialized stuff like Muay Thai boxing or so on and so forth.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think that's a big thing. I mean, Chris, one big takeaway from him that I used to have is, instead of getting your hair cut at Great Clips for, $12, go to the place that costs a little bit more. Go here. There's these different things you can do to put yourself in the environment for bigger things to happen. Now, then it's up to you to capitalize on those opportunities, because just like sorry, guys, I'm a little under the weather, but just like the event that we were all together at, we're at that event, but now it's up to us to capitalize on those opportunities, to network. Like, I even talked to some people, and, we had the conversation of, no more is it just about just the work. No more is it just about just the person. Now it's about, it's both. If you've got the personality and you've got the work, then you'll win. Because like one of the guys goes, yeah, man, but if you were an awesome person and that work sucked, I wouldn't be talking to you. Like, it's just like to do work. Not that he wouldn't talk to me, but to produce work for him, it wouldn't just be me being a great person and have okay work, or just having great work and not being, a good high caliber person. Because he's like, when you come into this kind of event, you know how to connect, you know how to talk to people. And I think that that's where you guys, that's one of the reasons, I wanted to have you on here today, is because you're showing how quickly, yes, part of it's being in the right place at the right time and all these kinds of things, which I've had those same type of things happen too. But there's a lot of people that I would bet are in the right place at the right time, but they don't know how to capitalize on it. So talk a little bit more about your networking. I know, Kyle, we talked about that a little bit ahead of time, but just the reality that you've had more business coming from your networking than some of your marketing that you've done, putting things out there. I mean, that helps, but it's the people you're connecting with that's helping more than anything.
Maybe all of it came from networking, and the kind of marketing is great, but that marketing kind of extends from the networking. So if you are to meet a contact, or someone gives you an introduction and that person looks you up online, well, you've already done the marketing aspect of it, and they can see that your work is being promoted on these various platforms or whatever it is. But that's it. It is about the networking, and I think it's just about those human relationships, and anyone can do it. Like the example with the gym, people can do that on their own. There is a certain caliber of person that will spend $1,200 or more to go to a gym a year, and I think a lot of people look at that and they say, well, I just can't afford to do that, it's not worth it. But you need to start looking at those things as investments, because essentially that's where the people that you want to be doing work for are going to be hanging out. And if you do that, and if you can make one connection, if you do get one job from that investment will pay for itself. So I think it's really about building a lifestyle for yourself where you're just involved in these communities and you're doing interesting things all the time. and you're connecting with people who you want to be doing the work for, and it's not it's not doing those things just for the work. It's just you're going to build new relationships, and you're going to be able to do a lot of things for these people and add a lot of value to these people's lives. And I think that's the best way. I mean, there's no greater marketing than word of mouth marketing, and once those referrals start going, and we're still kind of waiting to hit that spot too. And I think we're comfortable now. We're in a place now where we can start asking some clients that we've had for a while who we know have been happy with their work for referrals. So that's another thing. Don't be afraid to ask people for business, or ask the connections you have. We've had this relationship for so and so. It's been great for us. We hope it's been great for you. We're just starting out. We'd really appreciate if you could put our name forward to anyone or any businesses that you think might need this kind of work done. So for us, that's been everything.
Well, and I think that's something that we all take for granted too. We're all so afraid to ask people that we're happy with our work to refer us to other people. And at the event that we were just at together, I can't tell you how much of that stuff was happening. Those guys are high caliber. They're living at the top, and they're still constantly going, oh, I know this person who would help you out, and I know this person, or hey, do you know anybody who could help me? And it's like, I think that's something that we take for granted, that, oh, well, I don't want to ask that person to, I don't want to ask this client for a testimonial, or I don't want to ask this client to do anything. And it's just like, no, I think most people, if they're happy with what you've done for them, then they're happy to, give people that they know that same, quality that you gave them. Be able to connect other people. Go, I've got a friend over here that could really benefit from your work. And so that's a great point, guys. Chris, do you have anything that you want to ask the guys here?
No, I think it's just good content. Well, I guess one thing that I'll say is, I guess maybe it's not necessarily a question, but you can expand on it some. Like the gym example that you gave, and what Mike was talking about with me getting my hair cut at the $50 beauty parlor that's the high end, where all the VP of marketing ladies are hanging out and doing their thing, and I'm kind of the big, the only dude in the place who's 6'5", so I stand out, and naturally conversations happen. And the same thing with my eye doctor. It's downtown Chattanooga. They serve all of the bigger, the big time business owners and the executive VPs and all that. So just sitting in the waiting area, there's opportunities to have a conversation. But where I'm going with that is, it doesn't matter if the person on the other side of the table is a multimillionaire and you're struggling to get by. If you're in the same room at the same time, there's a connection. And it's like, it's almost, it's not guilty by association, but it's almost like, well, if I thought it was important enough to be here, and this person thought it was important enough to be here, there must be some connection, that we can talk about and explore and figure out. And so just talk more about just the fact is, just finding an opportunity to be in the freaking room, no matter what the room is, automatically puts you on the same level as these really high level customers.
Yeah. So, first of all, gym and anything fitness related is such a great place, because first of all, people are going there to feel good. So there's going to be positive vibes right off the bat, right? It's a place where people go, entrepreneurs, all these entrepreneurs that own their own businesses, they go there for an hour a day to just forget about everything and get that kind of rush of endorphins, right? So that's why, fitness, places of fitness are a great place. And, we even heard this from a business consultant recently, but he was telling us how at a couple high-class gyms, there's a couple trainers that he pays a certain fee every week to kind of forward his name whenever he gets the opportunity. And he said it's brought in, so much business for him. He can't begin to tell you like how that fee that he pays that personal trainer has turned around for him. But for the most part, it's like, the other thing is you want to pick places for networking and such. Like, you know, let's say a barber shop. Well, it could be good if everyone's waiting, but it could also be weird if someone's getting their hair cut and you're kind of like sneaking up behind them and being like, hey, I want to introduce myself. They're like, oh, that's kind of weird, you know. So, you know, I think meetups are great. And, you know, anytime you know there's just going to be a feel-good vibe alongside that, you know, that high I don't want to say high caliber people who are, you know, where people of success will be connecting.
Decision.
Yeah, I mean, like, you know, you know, the place I was at, I'm going to be honest, like the place I was at was a bit of an anomaly. There's not too many personal training studios, but I will tell you that if you can invest, and I know for people starting out, this will seem like a lot of money to spend, but, you know, if you can invest in, you know, let's say you want, you know, personal training is something that you want to kind of incorporate into your life and you think now might be a great time. Well, you know, if you pay
We lose them.
Oh, crap. Well, one thing I want to say to that real quick while he's coming back is definitely that there is a connection, Chris, and everybody else out there, because Matt and I were talking about that while I'm getting Matt back on here. And Matt, you'll finish that if you're hearing me here in just a second. But there is 100% a connection just by association of being in the same room. Like Matt and I were talking, Matt, I'll let you finish that in just a second, but Matt and I were talking beforehand, by being at this event that we were just at, like all the people there automatically figure, like you said, well, you've got to have some type of caliber or some type of association to be at this thing. And so that reality is it doesn't matter how wealthy you are. It's not based on wealth. It's based on that association. Just by being in the presence of that room, by being in the presence, like, those are the things that are so important. It's not that, oh, well, I'm also a multi-millionaire video production company, and that's why you'd want to work with me because you're a multi-million-dollar company. It doesn't have to be that. It just has to be just being friends with a multi-millionaire person. You know, not everybody, and that's the thing, too, is I think that, Matt, like we were saying beforehand, you know, Jason, who put the event on, it's from the top down. And so from the top down, Jason is an amazing person, and he brought amazing, like-minded people. You know, Chris and I are who we try to be, genuine quality people, and we hold a standard of excellence and positivity with our stuff. So that's who we're attracting to create. And then the negative people, if they come in, we get rid of them real quick. You know, the naysayers and those type of things. So I think if you're going places that have those types of people, you know, positive people that you want to be around, like Matt's saying, I think that's the big thing, is you want to go to the places that have the types of people that you're looking for, and then it's just by association. You don't have to be that caliber, quote unquote, a person. So Matt, what were you saying in regards to the investment?
I can't remember what I was talking about, but I guess what I'm saying is, that's right.
You cut off.
Okay, yeah.
You cut off. Yeah.
I was basically saying, you know, I know it's expensive, but, you know, let's just say, like, you know, there's a gym for $30 a month, and then there's another gym that is $110 a month. And a lot of us would say, man, you know, $110 a month to go to a gym, that's crazy. But you have to understand that these guys who own their own businesses, like, they can go wherever they want. And the truth is they probably want to go somewhere that's a little bit quieter and, you know, a place where they can just kind of forget about all the traffic for a little bit. So if you can invest in something like that, you know, I think it just opens opportunities to make great relationships first. And then, you know, when people start to understand that, you know, you have a great demeanor and you seem like a trustworthy person and, you know what you're talking about, I think, you know, people are looking to align with one another. Because the truth is, you know, these people might own $100 million businesses, but they're still, and they might be experts in one field, but they know absolutely nothing when it comes to video and film. So they're looking for someone that is not necessarily a millionaire, but they're looking for someone who's very passionate and driven in the field of, you know, video or film to be that expert for them. You know, they have experts doing their marketing, they have experts, you know, doing their business and emotional consulting or HR. It's just like you're the exact same thing for them. You're another piece of their puzzle. And video today, everyone, you know, absolutely everyone needs video. and certainly great video at that. So if you can communicate that that's what you do, I mean, you'll win no matter. And just to show you the extent, one guy that I trained was, he was actually he's a billionaire. And I still see him and we still cycle together. And, when we get together, it has absolutely nothing to do with anything financial. If you have a good emotional connection or, and you can show value to each other's life in some way, whether that's fitness or, maybe you guys both own these businesses, but you both play music and you have a great interest in guitars and stuff. That stuff goes such a long way.
Well, and that's a great point that a lot of people take for granted is automatically we always think that networking means that we've got to go in with our business pitch ready to close the deal upon meeting someone. And I think that the biggest thing that I've learned is it's not about that at all. I mean, it's about really doing what you just said. It's about just connecting with another human being. That's it. It's about making that connection and building a relationship, because if you go in with that mentality of, I'm going to close a deal with every person I meet, whether I'm at the barbershop or cutting my hair or I'm at, wherever, then that's the wrong approach. Because for me at least, and I'm sure for you guys, you've had opportunities come that weren't an opportunity at all in the beginning. You know what I mean? It was something like the job I was just at, Jason. I mean, that came from something I did from Tim Ferriss, but when I went to the event for Tim Ferriss, Jason was actually, that was 2 years ago, Jason was actually the only person that I really connected with. And I connected with him with nothing to do with video production at all. I connected with him actually about t-shirts and watches. We were talking about t-shirts and watches and stuff, and then we just kind of hit it off. A year later, I filmed his wedding. A year after that, I'm at that event. I mean, and so it's a matter of just connecting with people. And I know that there's lots of people listening today who have a lot of things that they like, just normal things. And Matt, Kyle, all those interviews you did, tell me, at the event that we just were at together, but tell me, were those people not just human beings? Were they not just normal people?
Yeah. Absolutely, and it's interesting even because with a lot of those speakers, you view them a certain way, and you would know you were filming their talks, and when you see them up on stage and they're these experts that on some level they kind of feel untouchable, and it's intimidating that way, and that's because you're in their world and that's how you usually see them. But they go directly from that talk to a room to see us so that we can interview them. And they kind of come into our world of film and that. And immediately a lot of them get nervous. And it's interesting to see both sides of that where you realize, wow, this person is really just a human being. They're looking for their direction. They don't know what to do. They're relying on you to show them what to do. So yeah, to your point, I think the way that we see these people most of the time is in the world that they're known for. So we have a certain perception of them being untouchable or that we can't connect with them on some level, but you can. They're just humans. You can connect with them on so many different levels, and you can add value to their lives, and it doesn't have to be through business and video, but it can be through anything, like you said, just talking to someone about t-shirts and watches. When I go out, I'm not trying to sell people, I'm just trying to make friends with people. And I'm trying to connect with people, and if they need some work done, that's great. If they don't, they don't. It's just enriching your own life in that sense. And the other great thing is, a lot of people might not need video right now, but they might need video in 6 months. So as you start building those relationships, you'll see that a lot of them might prosper, but it might be down the road.
Absolutely, and what was really cool, I don't know if you guys noticed it, but what Jason did differently at this event that was different from a lot of other events is typically people's first thing when they meet somebody new, especially in a networking type of environment, is, what do you do and where are you from? That's the standard question. And he had this pack of all these little cards that had all these little icebreakers on it. And so some of them were like, what's your dog's name? Or just these random questions that really got you into conversation about who you are, what you like, what you love, and then by the time you got around to what you did, you knew a lot more about the person. And I think that that a lot of people, they get so awkward, like you said, in those situations. Like, a lot of people are really weird in a networking environment. Like, most will go to a networking thing and they'll be the fly on the wall, which is the wrong thing to do in a networking environment. You don't want to sit back and not talk to anybody. You want to get out there and talk. And I think that the other thing, though, that you guys might agree with is you also don't need to, the opposite to do is to run around with your business card and hand it out to as many people as you possibly can. It's more important to meet, like I said, Jason, one person, and talk about that. So one person is all I met that led to all these great things. So one genuine relationship is better than a ton. So what about you guys?
Yeah, I mean, I met Jason because I saw this event online that he was doing. And, as you know, it's very expensive. It's like, $4,000 to be a part of this event. And that's only if you get accepted. And, he had hundreds and hundreds of people applying to be a part of this thing. And he turned down the large majority of them and ended up taking, I think, around 100. And I saw this, and I saw the speakers who were there. And a lot of the speakers are, personal favorite authors of mine or just business people or marketers. And I thought, this is incredible that this is happening in Toronto. So I just reached out to him and we said, we want to be a part of this. What can we do for you with video? We'll offer, it was like a free work situation where we just said, we just want to get in the door. And he was so enthusiastic about it and so receptive. And he just said, I checked your workout online. Like, I'm not going to give you guys really any direction, but, this is kind of what I have in mind. Getting some testimonials. Can you do something like this? And we said, yeah, absolutely. So just that one relationship, I mean, getting in there, I've met probably a dozen people at that conference or at that event that I've continued to follow up with, and some of them are in the city and some of them are in other cities. And I mean, it was only like a week and a half ago, and we're on this call now. So yeah, it's been amazing. Every once in a while you meet someone who's a real connector, and it just kind of blossoms from there.
Well, and so you guys pulled exactly the kind of thing that I've done to get into the Tim Ferriss and these other opportunities. And guys, everybody listening today, like, I hate to say it this way, but it is as easy as it sounds on some level. Like, part of it might not happen every time that you do it, but you just got to do it. Like, this was something local to you guys, because you guys are up in Toronto, and you saw it probably from a Facebook ad or something online or whatever, and then you just reached out. And I think that people take for granted in their backyards, probably every day, depending on what kind of thing it is that you're looking at, there's things happening that you can get yourself in the door at, and then things can blossom from there. Yeah, the first opportunity might be a free one, but there'll be 80,000 opportunities over the coming years, because hopefully you're in this for more than just 6 months, and there'll be tons of opportunities that'll come in the coming years that will add up to way more than you would have gotten paid for that one job that opened up all the doors, and so talk on that for a second.
Yeah, absolutely. And a lot of these connections will span beyond this company or beyond the work we're doing. I mean, I consider Jason a friend now, and I consider you a friend now, and we're all, I think, relatively close to the same age, and it's great. I can really see these things being like lifelong relationships where you're just looking to help people grow and help people have success. And it's interesting in a lot of ways. You look at some of the older speakers who were at this event, and a lot of the people there were in like their 50s or their 40s, and it seems like they've known each other for a while. They kind of reconnect every once in a while. So when you see that event, you're hoping that that's something you can start. And maybe with the people you're meeting that are also in their 20s or their early 30s or whatever, years down the road, you'll be having those same kind of relationships. So, I mean, yeah, it's beyond business. I think it's just helping people in life, helping people have success, and that's really ultimately what it's about. Just offer to do things for people. Find out what people need and don't ask for anything in return. And it's really a situation where, what goes around comes around.
Perfect. Hey guys, I put the same day / next day. I messed with it for a couple hours the day before, and I finished it up the next day. I put the highlight from the event. You can see some of the people. You might recognize some of the people. Tim Ferriss was there. James Altucher. Dan Martell. Good Lord.
Ryan Holiday.
I can't even think of everybody. Ryan Holiday was there. Yeah. Some amazing people there, guys. So let's Chris, let's get to the questions for the people. Real quick though, guys, we're going to be taking your questions from the audience. So get those submitted here. We got about 15-ish minutes to take your questions. So if you're still in guest mode, be sure to log in. You can log in once you try to submit a question. It'll ask you to log in via Facebook or Twitter. And then you'll be good to go. So get your questions in. If you're a guest or not a guest, get those in, and we'll take your questions. And we appreciate everybody being on today. If you're enjoying the call, be sure to share this on Twitter or Facebook. We greatly appreciate it. And if you're on expertinterrogations.com here, you might be in some other way, maybe on Spreecast. I'm not sure. Put it in the chat if you're not. Just be sure to use the suggest an expert button. If you have any experts you'd like to see in the future, or any people you'd like to see on the calls, we greatly appreciate it. We also have all our old calls, along with this one, which as soon as it's over, we'll have the replay available. But all the old calls are available on the replays page, and you can see all of those. There's transcripts below the calls with the timestamps of the questions, so you can go right to the answers. And then there's also audio downloads, so be sure to check those out, and get on our newsletter for being updated when we go live on future calls, and we'll be ready to rock and roll. So, Chris, let's have at it.
All right, let's do it. First question is from Travis Johansson. His question is, how do you determine the caliber or person you need to talk with? Are there titles of people you focus on going after?
That's a really interesting question. It's also a tough question. I don't think there's, there is certain titles, that should maybe spark interest. If someone is doing marketing for a company, or someone is the owner of a company, that's always the biggest thing. Whoever's kind of at the top, especially if they're really involved with their company on kind of a CEO level, then they'll put you in touch with the right person if they want you to do work for them. As for a certain caliber of people, it's a hard question to answer, because it's just like, if you start looking at that, you're not trying to essentially do stuff for the most successful businesses possible. One of the big things for us is that we love doing work for companies who have a really interesting story. So we, and typically for us, that means that we ended up liking companies that do work with craft. So, we've done like some work for a coffee company, and they're like, artisan kind of hand roasting company. As well as like making Famous Denim. The reason that we wanted to do that job wasn't because we thought the guy was so successful. It was because, this is actually one of our favorite fashion companies, and this guy is just kind of leading the way in innovations in denim. And he's really just got these crazy creations, and it's like one of those companies that, we're like, if I were to own one company, that I feel like that would be such a fun company to own. So when we knew he was going to be in Toronto at this event, we wanted to seek him out and just to talk to him and basically offer the guy free work. And that was because we want to do work like the piece that we're doing for him right now. And it's just like kind of a little bit of a dream of ours. Like, we want to be associated with this company. But as far as the caliber of people, I think it just, you're looking for someone, and it's not just caliber. The other thing you have to remember is like, there are people who are really successful, and they're not the best people to know. They're not the most positive people, or they're very cutthroat business people, and that can happen at any level of the size of a company. They could be $1 billion company. They could be, whatever, a $50,000 a year company. I think what you're looking to do is just trying to connect with people who are success minded. They're like-minded like you. And they're looking to add other people with value in their life. And I think that if you want to do good work and you want to connect with people who are successfully minded, and you're kind of seeking that out, and I think you have to have just an intuition about it. You talk to them, and if you get along with them, I think you do work for the people that you want to do work for, and that should naturally be successfully minded people, I guess you could say.
Matt, that's a great point. I just want to add that for 2 seconds is exactly that. Don't just go after people who you think are this certain caliber or this certain thing, and that's all you're going to go after. I go after people that I look up to. Like when I've seeked out people, go after people that I look up to and that I want to provide value to. I mean, first and foremost, above anything else, it's not just I think this person can help me, or I think this person's going to change my life. I don't care about them or anything that they do, and I don't connect with what they do, but I know they'll change my life because they're really successful. I don't do that, and that's what we don't endorse. I'm glad that you said it the way you said it.
Yeah,
so
you're totally right.
Perfect.
Like, it really is about, it's about seeking value, and I think if you want to fill your life full of value, then you're going to have these certain motives that will honestly just lead to success. And one of the best things that I can really recommend to artists of any kind is to start getting into people who talk and write about success. It's not, it doesn't have to be filmmakers. It's really, if you enrich your life with just people that just want to be successful in their like-minded fields, you're just going to have such an enriched life. And don't box yourself into the whole video and film world as the people who are close to you.
Awesome.
Perfect.
All right, Aviv, our buddy from Israel. Going back to when you were in the gym and you met up with that marketing lady, how did she end up seeing your work, or how did that kind of evolve to what it is, I guess, is what he's saying.
Sure. You want the whole development. So basically, and like I was saying before, that gift to Haiti piece that we posted earlier, it isn't the most polished piece of production. I took a lot of those shots from the inside of a van with like super smoky glass. But the point is that there's story, and that honestly, really, emotion and story really reigns over everything. And like, if you're looking at editing, a great book to read is In the Blink of an Eye by Walter Murch, and he has this kind of hierarchy of what you should be leaving in a piece or taking out of a piece. And story, emotion is first, story is second, and then all these other things kind of continuity and stuff fall after that. But she saw this piece and she was touched by it, and it made her feel something, and she kind of she got in touch with me, or we had known each other before, and then when she had finally saw that piece, she she kind of approached me and said, hey, I saw it, that was amazing, I would just love to have something like this done for New Balance. I'm the marketing director, so on and so forth. And so I said, when you guys need this thing, here's all my contacts. Like, I'm always, around, and if you need to find me some other way, I'm connected with people in the gym. And after we talked about that, about 3 or 4 months after, I just made sure we sat down as soon as possible at a Starbucks, and we made a date, and we made a plan, and we went from there.
Don't you think
that answers everything?
Don't you think that a huge part of, I imagine, since you were working out at the same place, even if you weren't talking about it every time you saw each other, just the fact that she was there at the same time you were there kind of kept you top of mind. And so
absolutely.
And
absolutely. Yeah. Out of sight, out of mind, right? Like, that's why, it's also important to, if, your existing clients and stuff like that, or people you even just made a connection with, have some kind of email or, newsletter. You guys are doing this with this kind of thing, and saying, hey, we do this thing every week or every bi-weekly. And it's just like keeping people at the top of your mind. And, I also had the opportunity to, every time someone was away, I always took opportunities to train people that were other people's clients. But I just wanted to, help them out, meet them on a deeper level. So when they were gone, I would make sure that, I was kind of there to train them as well. And I got to meet more people that way on a really deeper level. So I think I trained her about once or twice. And so, we had a pretty good relationship,
It's awesome. Yeah.
I want to add one thing for you guys, tip for everybody out there. I mean, a top of mind is simple as, once you meet some of these people and you become friends on Facebook, top of mind is as easy. A is one, just posting regularly on your wall. They might likely see it. But 2, I go to people's walls from
You just lose them. You know what? I'll continue on his word. He was just about to talk about social media. There you go. Well, he was just talking about social media. you know, and I use my Twitter, which is just my name after /Twitter, and I use that. All the people that follow me, I'm always making sure I find, you know, the cool thing I've seen that day and post it for other people to see. And you know, a lot of people come tell me, you know, I love your feed because it's just always giving me something cool to watch every day. I know that when that tweet comes down, that I've got something in store that's, you know, and they just know that you have good taste. That's simple as that.
Well, and I know where Michael was going is he'll do something as simple as just go to somebody's wall and say, "Hey, man, I hope you're having a rockin' day," and that's it. It's like just something that simple makes the connection, and of course they're going to get the notification that somebody, you know, sent them a message or whatever. And it's amazing how that works to be top of mind. I don't do that as much with Facebook. I do that a lot with LinkedIn. It's amazing how many just back and forth conversations I'll have at 11 a.m. on a Saturday morning with CEOs of Fortune 500 companies, just because that's the only time they're logging into LinkedIn. And I'll just send a note saying, "Hey, how's it going?" And then I'll, you know, maybe some big story in the paper last week about their company, I'll just kind of reference to see how that's, you know, how their stress levels are doing, you know, after that recent merger. And it's crazy. That's almost, it's the same kind of thing as being in the same room at the same time. They're like, well, I mean, if this person had, you know, enough thought to reach out and just have a normal conversation with me, even on LinkedIn, then maybe this is a person that I want to be around a little bit more. And it's just so funny how that works, because everybody's human. Everybody puts their pants on one leg at a time. And, you know, what is it? Mo money, mo problems. I mean, if you're at this level struggling, they're at this level struggling. Everybody has some source of struggle. And so there isn't, and I know we're talking about this whole what caliber of people, and like you've already said, I mean, it's not about caliber, because we're all just people. I mean, I have a policy. I don't work with assholes. I just don't do it. You know, life's too short. And if somebody is a punk, I don't care if they're, you know, Warren Buffett. You know, I don't want to do business with them. So, not that he is, but, you know, so.
Yeah, I think just to continue on what you're saying. Like, you're exactly right. One of the speakers that we were at this event was talking about how, you know, I mean, look, like, your work is always going to matter. You know, when you have something, you know, they want to, at the end of the day, see what you've done, that's going to matter. But, you know, a lot of people don't want to do business with people that they wouldn't invite over to their house for a weekend. And if people can't feel like they can be with you for like an extended period of time and like who you are, then there's a good chance that they're not going to want to do business with you. And I just, you know, this, to go even further, and this is going to scare a lot of people listening, you know, I do work in the film industry with people who, honestly, there's people who have great work and they're not getting that many jobs, and then there's people that are working all the time and their work is, to be honest, mediocre. And it really comes down to just their relationships with people. Like, it doesn't really matter what job you're doing. Like, if you know how to talk to people and you know how to get it on with people, like, it almost counts more than the work. Like, some, you know, as scary as that may sound, sometimes it really does.
Cool. Awesome, man. Mike, I don't know if you heard me kind of finish your thought on the Facebook thing. I don't know if I was on target or not, but you got something you want to say quickly before I go to the next question?
Yeah. My final thing, guys, if you didn't hear that, is sometimes the internet. The lady said the internet might go out, and it did, so I had to restart it. But the bottom line is, guys, stay on top of mind with people you meet and you're networking with. If you become friends on Facebook, it's as simple as sometimes just sending a simple "Have a rockin' day, have a great week," and it's not even anything relevant to the job. And I've had people message me back going, "Hey, man, thanks for hitting me up. Oh, that's awesome." And so it's just one of those things. It's real easy to stay top of mind with people. That was what we were talking about with that. And it's so easy to do that nowadays with email, social media, and everything else. It's so easy to stay top of mind.
All right, next question is from John. John says, I have/had a good client that loves my work, but they keep putting me off now, even though they have work for me. The reason is they are too busy. This has been the case for a year. What would you do?
Kyle, that was probably a great answer for this one.
So he's had a great client for a while. So more specifically, how are they putting you off? Like, it's just hard to get in touch with that person, or?
I would think that what he's saying, Kyle, is that, you know, a client calls and says, hey, we've got a project for you. You know, we need to get together. Stay tuned. And then you keep trying to get in touch with them to get that meeting set up, and it just doesn't happen. So you know there's a need, and they've been a good customer, but they're just not kind of closing the loop to get the ball rolling, and so you're just kind of left in limbo land. So maybe what are some of the things you do to either, you know, make it happen, or what's your advice related to that?
Yeah, that's a tough situation. I can think of one circumstance where we've had something very similar happen. It's tough. You want to bring it to their attention, but you want to do it delicately, obviously. So what I did was I sent them a message when it was apparent that it was taking them a long time to get back to me. And I just said, hey, listen, you know, I'm trying to get the ball rolling on these projects. I want to get these things out for you guys so you can use them and whatever. But I've had a hard time staying in touch with you, you know, like I can see you're very busy, and I'm just wondering if there's someone else at the company or someone else who might be better for me to reach out to when I need a quick contact. And I think it's just sort of a delicate way to bring it to their attention. You're not saying that it's their fault, or you're not saying that you know, they're not making time for you. Just respect the fact that they're busy and be understanding, and just ask them, is there someone else I can that might be better for me to connect with on a regular basis? And you know, even if you know there's not, it doesn't matter. It's kind of just a good excuse for you to bring that attention. I mean, that would be my advice. That's what I did in that circumstance, and it made a big difference. It made a big change.
Awesome. Yeah, and sometimes just you know, the details associated with trying to plan the project so it'll be successful is enough to overwhelm them to where they're like, you know what, I just don't have time, forget about it. And I've had some success over the years of saying, if somebody says, well, we need to do this, but I'm just too busy, I'll say, well, you know, is there anything I can do to lighten the load? I mean, would it help if I kind of stepped in sort of on your behalf and became that project manager to get things going, like you're saying, with these other contacts? And sometimes that's all it takes. You know, not always, but it's definitely a situation where that does. Another deal is if you have a client, or if I have a client where, you know, the business owner is my direct contact for video projects, that this kind of thing happens a lot. They're just too busy to deal with it. So I like to target my marketing towards companies that have departments, you know, that control marketing and HR and corporate communications. So there's always, you know, it's like that's their job to move marketing projects forward, as opposed to, you know, companies that, you know, there's one executive in the whole company. Even if they're $100 million company, maybe there's 3 guys at the top, but they're doing everything. You know, they don't have a specified person who just handles marketing.
Well, and John, one final thing there. Sometimes, like, don't let, and maybe hopefully you're not doing this, but don't let that client take all your efforts away from any other new business. You know, because that's the thing we get sucked into. This was a great client, so now I'm going to make sure that I keep getting work from them, but all my effort's going to go into that one client, no one else. So don't get sucked into that.
Yeah, that's
you know, time warp there either.
Don't let one company be your only lifeline. You know, you're always looking for new business, no matter what kind of thing.
Cool. All right. This next question is from Travis again. Pro bono work is a huge door opener. I'm not totally sure how to take it beyond that step, though. How do I ask for the paid projects after they've expressed they loved my personal/donated video?
That's interesting. I haven't been in a situation where I don't think I've done personal work for someone and they haven't contacted me. Maybe I'll just start by saying, you know, when you're going to do free work, there's some certain situations that I think are going to work better, and there's some that are going to work worse. And the worst one is going to be meeting someone that you don't know personally, and they say, oh, you do video? Oh, well, if you would just do these at like a super cheap rate or free for us, you know, we got some coming down the pipeline, I can promise there's stuff coming. That is always a red flag for me. If people are asking for free work, you know, to me that means that there's no future there. But there's a difference when you offer, you know, free work, and whether that's for your own benefit because you want to have something on your portfolio that's from them, or you know, you want to get in with a company and you know that they really, for this, you know, certain circumstance, don't have a huge budget to work with. There's again a difference being asked to do free work and deciding to do work for someone that's 90 to 100% discounted. So just remember that, because you're always doing the same caliber. You'll always be doing the same caliber of work for your client, for whoever the client is. But as far as moving it forward, they said, it's hard for me to tell because I don't know how much you followed up with that person, but just communicate. I think that you'd love to continue to do work for them, and you're looking to I don't know, maybe fit some stuff in with the work that you're doing now. So I don't know, find out what their needs are first of all. What's next for them? What are they trying to do as a company? If you know someone's needs and you can be the expert on how to make that some kind of dissolve through your personal expertise, then again, just try to find a way to add extra value.
Now, Matt, you did have something, I believe it was you that I discussed with, a tactic. I think I even posted it on our private Facebook group for Create. You said that what you had done is you had actually invoiced the clients that you had told you do free or pro bono work for, and then you invoiced them for the full amount discounted. Why don't you talk about that process for a second?
I know someone personally who I did work for, and they were a friend of the family, and essentially they were looking to do something listen, I'm just trying to show this department that there's something extra than what they can be doing than filming with this camera from 2003 against a wall with no lighting, and I said, but I can only, they only have this much money or whatever, and I said, this guy is he's on the boards of so many companies, and not to mention he's done some great things for me in the past. So I said, of course, and just with all these clients, what you want to do is you send them how much you would actually charge, and then you show your percentage of discount. And I think when you show people how much value they got for free, it really communicates just kind of what kind of work you're doing. And at the other, and that also guards you from people calling you up and saying, hey, I know you did work for X, and it costs this much. Can we talk about doing something for the same price? So it's just important to show people value. Yeah, it's sending people to work and showing them what they paid and showing them what it really costs to work with you guys. And that also avoids confusion in the future, right? If they want to get another job done for them, they can know what they can expect for rates.
Well, and I would imagine a lot of it relates to who you're doing the pro bono work for. I know Michael. He approached Tim Ferriss and Tony Robbins. These are for-profit entities. And so, in essence, you're helping them to get in the door and to build that connection. But I really don't think those people ever expected Michael to just keep doing free work. If it's a business person that's in the for-profit realm, right, you kind of know quid pro quo. In the sense that, hey, he's doing all this free stuff for me, but I know that I'm going to have to put something back in his lap eventually, and maybe it's not paying him to do the work, but it could be I'm going to connect him with an opportunity that I know can pay him to do the work, and so, but if you're going to a nonprofit, let's face it, nonprofits are built around trying to get donations and things given to them, and the local news stations make it the worst because they just give them so much free stuff that they'd rather, have the local news guys create the promo film as opposed to a company like us. And so I think that's one thing to keep in mind too, guys. If I'm going to do a pro bono for a nonprofit, I don't expect that nonprofit to start spending money next time. I just want to do the pro bono for the nonprofit to get the exposure of the people on that board, like you had mentioned, Matt. The people who, who are the headline sponsors of that event, and making sure that I can get conversations with those guys. And there's no expectation that you're going to work for them for free because they're huge corporations.
Yeah, that's an absolutely, Chris, you hit the nail right on the head. I have another mentor within the corporate film business that runs a very successful company, and she now and then sponsors these events that are again, they're nonprofit and they're for a cause, but at the end of the day, her company logo is on that same banner as other clients, who knows, massive food companies. So then, when they all go to this benefit together, oh, you were in, I'm, who are you? And I say, oh, I'm the owner of this company. We're doing some video work, and then, and then you guys get into a conversation and the magic happens, or maybe you make a new client, or maybe they just tell someone else about you.
I think
awesome.
too.
Go ahead.
Well, I just want to say
just a quick note.
Go ahead, Cal.
If you're going to do free work, be very strategic about who you're doing it for. One thing I would recommend for sure is find a brand who is already promoting their work and already has great marketing, who you know is going to push that video if you give it to them. Because there are some circumstances where, you know, there's a company you love and you say, okay, I want to do some free work for these guys, and they say yes. But if they're not the type of brand who's involved in social media, or they don't push these kinds of things on their platform, it's not really going to help you. So just, you know, even find brands who have social media campaigns or who have marketing that you love, and do work for them, because you know that the chances of that video being promoted are going to be much greater. You know, doing free work is really just an investment in yourself and in your company. So yeah.
And that's something I want to say. You made a great point at the very end. Investment. Guys, I look at pro bono / free work that I do. Like Matt said, I don't do it if I'm asked to do it. I provide the value. But it's an investment. If any of you guys are if you're wedding guys and you're going to go spend $1,000 on a bridal show, or you're going to go do this, you're going to spend all this time on any kind of like marketing and things like that, why not invest by creating a video for someone, which is exactly what you're going to need to market, and then things can happen from there. And I want to just finish off for Travis's thing. He says, I did this multi-million-dollar project. I don't really know how to just ask. It's like, you just ask. Like, it's that simple. Just don't go, hey, will you pay me for future jobs? Like Matt said, what do you have going on? And start getting that thing moving of what they want to do next. And when it comes up about the aspect of whether it's going to be for paid or not paid, like if you set up the initial thing properly, they're going to realize, like Chris kind of said, that you're not working for free for them forever. You know, this was the thing that happened. This is how we did it, you know, and we did this as a provide value to you, but we can't continue to work for free forever, you know, and so if we're going to continue to work together, we're going to need to get paid. But if you set that premise up front of how much you're worth and everything like that, then it's not going to be a problem. But don't be afraid. It's better to just ask and say something, Travis, than to never bring it up and then never get any work at all.
A couple more questions. I don't know, how are you guys doing on time, Matt and Kyle? You guys okay for a few more minutes?
Absolutely, man. We booked off some time here, so we're good.
Okay, cool. We just try to respect that. Cause we try to keep it to an hour, but we rarely ever can keep it to just an hour. But we're trying.
It's fun.
All right, appreciate it, man. This is from Ivan. I've edited for 4 years now, but have little capital to get my business up and running. I love it and have a strong desire to succeed. What is your advice for my startup business?
I missed a bit of that question. It was skipping out for me.
Is it showing up on your screen? It just says, I've edited for 4 years now.
Oh, okay,
have little capital, to get my business up and running. I love it and have a strong desire to succeed. What is your advice for my startup business?
I think the first question is, what is the startup business? And if you've been editing for 4 years, there should be, I'm not sure how much capital you're really looking for. Like, and I'm not sure what the startup business is. Well, I mean, Kyle could probably talk more about startups than I can, but it's like for one, a startup that has to do with,
I think
food or something is going to be way different than a tech startup. Yeah.
I think he's talking more about his business being a startup. Like, how does he's been editing for 4 years and he wants to kind of start his own thing, but he feels like that he doesn't have the capital to do it. So he's just looking for advice on kind of how to get going, in his startup, like in his own business.
Okay. It's tough. I mean, it really just sounds like it's an issue of having enough capital to start the business. Clearly, I don't know. I mean, to me, that kind of just sounds like certain lifestyle changes you would have to make if you really can't. If you're really struggling to save that money, there's something has to give in order to have that money. But there are certain things, again, with networking and relationships that you can do. I think that a free work strategy would always be a good alternative if you really, really pick the right places to do it. simply because that can open the door to more work or more exposure. But I don't know, that's tough. I'm not really sure how to answer that with more without some more specifics about what is going on with the business, or what more specifically what the business is, and what his living circumstances would be right now.
I mean, I could take a quick stab at it if you guys are okay with that. I think really, Ivan, it boils down to, number one, if you've already been editing for 4 years and you would consider yourself professional grade quality as an editor, the question I would ask is, who are you already editing for? If you're just editing kind of your own personal stuff, that might be a little bit different as opposed to if you're already editing as a freelancer. So I think that's a differentiator. But to me, if I had 4 years of experience in editing and I was ready to kind of take the next step, the first thing I would look at is, well, how am I making my money now? And would there be a way to, sort of run parallel tracks? We suggest all the time, or say all the time, that I kind of am jealous of some of our members that create that have full-time good-paying gigs and have managed to generate decent part-time income in their video businesses, because I didn't have that when I started. I mean, it was all or nothing. It was sink or swim, live or die. I mean, if daddy didn't bring a check home, babies didn't eat. You know what I'm saying? And so it's part of the recommendation is, if they have a full-time job or even a part-time job, keep it. Do not lose that job until your revenue in the production company is meeting that or exceeding it. And realize that starting a company is one of the freaking hardest things to do on the planet in terms of getting it going and making it work. So you're not going to quit a day job, start a company, and only work 8 hours a day. I mean, for the first 10 years I was in business, I'm at least 16 to 18 hours a day. In some cases, more than 20 hours a day. Just because you have to do every single job required to start the company, unless you have this massive, bank of capital that you can start out by hiring all these people. I didn't have that, and really didn't even understand how that worked. All I knew was how to make a video, and I knew how to work hard. And so, Ivan, I think in your case, it's more about, if you already own the equipment, it's more about just getting out there and seeing if you can turn those skills into paying jobs for whoever, for whoever your skill set is matched to. You don't need a bunch of capital. I don't think you need capital unless you're trying to say, I want to do this full time and not have to work. Then you would need capital to make up for your expenses. If you already own the equipment, there's no reason to run out and increase that, and buy a bunch of more stuff or whatever, because you can lease things. I got started with a GL1 and a, $200 tripod, and I was shooting work and getting paid pretty good rates for it. I mean, this could be a whole hour show on itself, so I'm not going to keep rambling. But, Ivan, we talk about this kind of stuff every week on Wednesdays at 2 o'clock for 2 hours, man, as part of the Create membership. So I don't know, Michael, if you want to, tell him where he can go to get info on that. But definitely don't feel like you got to have a bunch of money before you can get started in this business.
Yeah, just real quick, Ivan or anybody else listening, we'll say it at the very end when we finish up. There's 3 questions left. The board will get Matt and Kyle on their way today. We appreciate them being on. But if you guys are on expertinterrogations.com and you click training resources or you click live training, it's going to take you to a page. Just put your email in there and sign up for our training. You'll get a 3-hour training video from us immediately, and then from there it'll kind of show you where you could sign up if you wanted to join and things like that. But there's a lot of members on the call today. They can all attest to how helpful it is.
I was just going to add to the just one last thing for Ivan. Listen, you're an editor and you've been doing it for 4 years. You've obviously put a lot of hours in. You've got some kind of talent. That's your leverage right now. If you need cash, then I think the first thing that you should be doing is reaching out to every single production company that you can find and saying, listen, I'm a freelance editor. I do great work, and I'm looking to connect with some companies and kind of be a go-to guy for a few different people. And then if you want to start to move to video production, all you really need today, and there's a lot of cameras to choose from, but I think you could, you guys, Chris and Mike, can attest to this, that like a camera with 2 lenses is, will do you wonders. Like, the real storytelling happens in the editing suite. So if you can go out there and just get some decent to good footage, your editing can turn it into magic. And I think as long as you can use that footage to make people feel something, or with editing it to the right music, which I can get into about this, which I also think is even more than probably 50% importance of every video. I think the music and sound is more important. But again, use your tool to create that income, and then get something basic that you can edit yourself. You can show people that you can do what you say you do.
I've said before, there is a client for every level of experience in video production. I don't care if all you know how to do is use iPhoto to make photo montages. There's people out there that would pay you to do that. And they're not going to pay you thousands of dollars, but they might pay you a couple $100. But there is as long as, what was it, somebody said, all you have to do to be a consultant or an expert is just know a little bit more than the person who's hiring you, And so you don't want to make promises that you can't keep. But, we have guys that see the kind of work that Michael and I are doing and the kind of work that guys like you are doing, and then they just think, oh my God, I'm never going to make it until I can get to that level. But there's so many levels of customer between maybe where they are and where we are. I mean, it took me 20 years to get here. I didn't just wake up one day doing this, and so.
Yeah. My videos didn't look like they look now 5 years ago.
Point to say, guys, stay motivated. Find the customer who will purchase where you are right now, and then aspire to get better. And that customer will grow, not necessarily that customer, but the kind of customer that gets attracted to you will grow over time. So, all right. Got to get off my high horse, man. That's like one of my hot points there,
Yeah. And even with cheaper gear, like there's videos coming out of Vimeo staff picks all the time with like a Canon 550D and his kit lens or whatever. It's just like, it's all, it's like Chase Jarvis said, right? The best camera you have is the one that's in front of you, or the one you have with you.
Dude, I've got a Canon 60D and I've got less than $1,000 invested in lenses, and that's what I do everything with, And a lot of people make fun of me for that, but you know what? The bank account's doing all right, and so the clients are obviously happy with it. All right, so I think this next question, Adrian says, what is your determining factor for doing free work or not with companies? I think we kind of dealt with that pretty in depth, so I'm going to skip that question. Adrian, I hope that's okay, buddy. Well, I'll put this on here from Tim. We kind of talked about the networking aspect, but maybe if there's some other things that you do to go about seeking and connecting with your ideal clients. Let's say that you've targeted a client or a business. How are you going to get in the door to start doing some things for them?
Again, for me, it comes down to relationships. Try and start a relationship with anyone in that brand or that organization as you can. And if it's intimidating and it seems like a stretch, it doesn't have to be with someone who's necessarily a decision maker. You can reach out to people in that company if you're just interested in the brand, and don't be shy to ask people for 20 minutes of their time and say, listen, I'm really interested in your brand. Would you mind if I can take you out for 20 minutes for a coffee, or just exchange a couple questions on an email, and just start there and slowly kind of work your way in. For us, like we said, Naked and Famous was one of our favorite brands. We got really lucky with that because we knew a store owner in the city who was hosting the owner of Naked and Famous to do a clothing launch. So he let us know, and he said, come on in and we're going to introduce you to this guy. So that was just a lucky situation, but again, it's all human and it's all connections, and it just comes down to putting yourself in a position to connect with anyone over there that you can, and work from there. And if people see the value in there and they understand what you do, then they will push your name forward if they recognize that a need is there.
I just also want to.
Go ahead, buddy.
I was just going to say, I just wanted to add with Kyle, just to kind of paint that picture for you guys a little more. The store owner that we knew, we really had only met them about 2 or 3 days before. I had needed a pair of jeans. So there's some serious serendipity involved. And, I went in, but we started talking with the owner and his son, who is part of the shop, and we kind of really just hit it off. And he said, oh, he's coming down. The owner of Naked Famous is coming down in 2 days. Like, you guys should really come back. And that was our end. So when we went back, we had made great relationship with those guys, and which had absolutely, nothing to do in our minds with this business that, eventually happened. But when we came in, he's like, "Oh, Brandon, you gotta meet these guys. They just bought a couple pairs of your jeans the other day, like young entrepreneurs or so on and so forth." So I think another thing to add is just like, as a lifestyle change, getting more business, I think that really means, every time you go to an event or whatever, just try to meet as many people as possible, and just, always be that best self, that best person who you are, and be the person that, people want to meet.
Well, and don't use people.
To Chris's point.
I mean, be genuine. If you're going to meet somebody, be genuine about meeting that person. Don't go into the coffee thinking the only purpose in this is to see who they know, because number one, that's not cool. That makes you an a-hole. But number two, it's just, I mean, don't waste somebody's time unless you really want to, genuinely make a connect. Don't set up the meeting just because they work there, right? I mean, try to find some other commonalities. Sorry, Kyle, I didn't mean to step.
No, that's absolutely right. You're trying to just connect with them on another level. I mean, it's the same way you would connect with any kind of friendship. But to your point, just be incredibly respectful of their time, and show that right off the bat, because no one wants to go to a 20-minute meeting and find someone pitching to them. It's not about that. It's about building that relationship. And just to add what Matt was saying with the whole serendipity aspect to it, I think to add to what Chris was saying, if you continually put yourself in those rooms, you do have those connections, and they do naturally happen. And if you're doing this on a weekly basis, these things will start to click. And it does seem very serendipitous at the beginning, but I can promise you those connections will happen for you as well.
What I notice in my business is, like, I don't network near as much as I used to, and I know I need to get back to doing it again. In fact, I've kind of refocused this week to do some of that. But what I notice is I may not network for months, and I'll go to a series of networking meetings, and even though nothing happens directly from those networking meetings, it's like the rest of the universe has said, "Oh, okay, he's out networking again, let's reward him." And that's when, like, the requests for projects start hitting the website, and I start getting phone calls, and I'm like, wait a minute, this has nothing to do with the meetings that I was just at, but stuff just happens. I mean, whatever you can call it, voodoo, whatever it is, but I just think that for every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. If you're putting it out there into the world, the world's going to find a way to give it back to you, whether it's positive or negative. And I just think that that's a huge part. Like you're saying, serendipity. I mean, if you're out there, if you are in the freaking room, stuff will happen. What did Woody Allen say? 80% of success is just showing up, just being there. So it's so incredible how that works.
Absolutely.
It is, yeah.
All right, and I think Tim's follow-up just said, any specific tactics, how do you ask? Tim, I think it's just creating conversations, man, finding commonalities, starting a discussion. I mean, I know you're really active on Twitter, you're active on Facebook. I mean, that's a great way to start those conversations, even if it's, they just shared pictures of their vacation they just went on, and you're like, hey, we went there 5 years ago. And then you just kind of start it, and eventually it will get to where you want it to go.
Yeah, I was going to say, I can almost say that 90% of the situations that have really turned out for us through networking, we never actually had to ask for anything. We hit it off so well that they're like, well, let's keep in touch. Let me give you my card. And then we traded cards, and we say, okay, well, how about we trade? And we trade cards. But for the most part, when you really hit it off with someone, and they know what you do, they'll say, I need some stuff, like, let's be in touch. And they'll do most of the work. Just be there and be your great self, and have fun.
Awesome. All right, we got one last
that is
question
so true.
from Aviv, and I'm not completely sure what he's asking, so we'll just throw it on there and kind of see what happens. Did you have impressive work completed to gain credibility? For example, a regular promo with talking heads and some B-roll wouldn't exactly speak to them, and I think that's part of what your Haiti video story is it wasn't necessarily the demo that got their attention. It was this special kind of project. I mean, what are your thoughts with that?
Yeah, no, I mean, the Haiti thing, it was, it's a live action thing. Like, obviously, talking heads only does so much, right? You want to go out there, and again, this is why, don't just be looking to, if you can show them work that the Haiti thing wasn't even related to any business, right? And I think that's like a real big takeaway from this, because, it was a piece that it just hit people emotionally, and they really took away some kind of story for it. And they said, man, if we could have that kind of emotional connection with our business. It's like, go out there, and if you love to do filmmaking, go out there and edit a piece that when you look at it, you're like, this is awesome. I want to post this. I just want people to see this, and, offer that to them.
Yeah, I mean, I've kind of said that, those special projects is what draws the attention, but then the website and the demo and the portfolio is what gets the signature, because the special project goes, man, those guys look like they know what they're doing. But if it ends there, it might end there. But if they, like you said earlier, if they go to your website and like, oh man, these guys are working for this company and that company, and they're interesting people, and they actually have a stance, whatever it is, related to, environmental stuff, or just kind of just being genuinely cool guys, that's where a lot of that stuff plays with website. People are very concerned about, search engine optimization. And I mean, obviously that's huge, right? If somebody says, I need to find a video company, and they go to Google and they find you in 30 seconds, that's great. But more so, I've always looked at the website as a point of reference for credibility. If I meet somebody at a networking event, we exchange cards. If they look me up, I want them to know within 5 seconds that I'm the business as it relates to video, and that's where I think people should spend more of their attention, building their portfolio and their demo reel for what happens after the prospect has noticed who they are and has, forged a relationship, as opposed to being so concerned about using the website to find that prospect, initially.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think, definitely the better body of work that you have for them to land on afterwards is better. But I will say that we definitely had a few clients before we even had a website going. So to attest to all the networking and stuff, absolutely. But again, that's why we're creating free work right now for companies that we've chosen, and that's because we're trying to create templates, that we want companies to come back and see, and they say, hey, they do this kind of work. And we're also doing free work because we're trying to make the template that we want to sell as filmmakers. We're creating the job that we want to go out there and do more of because we like doing it.
Awesome.
Well, Matt, we talk about that all the time. What you show is what you're going to get and what you're going to attract. And if you're putting things out there that you don't want to do, or jobs you happen to get that you didn't want to do, but you had to pay the bills, and that's all you put out there, then you're going to keep attracting those types of people. And one other thing I want to add, guys, because this guy's going to be on he won the best talk at the event. He won the best talk at the event I was at a couple months prior. It was Joey Coleman. He's going to be on in the future. We're going to have him on Expert Interrogations. And, I posted a tangent on a private post on Facebook about guys going, well, I'm a one-man band. How do I get more than $2,000? Or, these different types of things. And you had said you had these clients before you had a website. Joey is so overly ashamed of what I can say, because he knows it, this very pitiful, very bad, very poorly designed website. We talked about it. He's actually been, he won't get the $25,000 for the charity that he won from the event until he gets a new site up. That was the challenge that was put forth. But the bottom line I want to put out there, because you guys said you had this work or these jobs before the website, is honestly, guys, there are people out there crushing it because of exactly what we talked about on this call. Because they network, they're great people, and what they offer the client is absolutely a phenomenal result or end product or whatever it is they're putting together. And they don't always have to have this amazing online presence or this amazing website to sell it, because they're dealing with such a high caliber of client that they're not even really going to look at the website. Just purely networking, purely word of mouth, and purely delivering an awesome quality product to someone. In his case, it's consulting, and branding for big companies like Zappos and these big brands. And so the power of networking, which was the basis of this call, the power of networking, connecting with people, building relationships, and offering amazing value to people, that can get you further than the sexiest website on the planet or the most amazing work even on the planet, because there's always going to be somebody more talented than you, so you can't get down. Guys, this is something I saw in one of our things that I just have to add on. One guy was going, I've been a little demotivated by...
Cliffhanger.
It's the one disadvantage to having this like global thing that we're doing here with people all over the world. Oh, we lost 2.
Oh.
Mayday, mayday.
Then there were 2.
There we go.
It's always right in the middle of like this big statement. It's never just when nothing's happening. It's like, you're trying to make this big main point to kind of end the call on, and then you get dropped.
Yeah, I just can't go to express on what he was saying enough. It's just like relationships are just, it's just everything. And I think, a lot of these questions is how do you do this specifically, and how do you do this? You don't want to become at the end of the day have these canned things that you're doing and become a social robot, right? Like you just want to go in and be yourself, and you're going to learn what doesn't work and what works. And I think that just goes into, I think the skill of meeting people and getting it on with people. And again, like, it's not just like everything has been amazing for us. Like for every job that we've got, there's definitely 5 there that didn't happen for whatever reason. And it's all about, rolling with the punches and just, keep going through until you hit the green lights out of any of the red ones that you might have.
Don't you find that it's easier to deal with the rejection? Because guys, if you haven't been rejected at least 50 times for every 60 proposals that you've submitted, then you haven't been in the business long enough. But the point is that I find it's easier to deal with the rejection and to stay motivated and to just keep that energy when I'm around people. Like if I'm just sitting in this office and aggravated, and it's like it just compounds when I'm kind of by myself. But when I get out there and just talk and have fun and offer ideas, and I mean, I love just giving people a million marketing ideas completely for free over a beer, just because it's just, I like to talk about that stuff, and that alone makes people want to call me whenever it makes sense for them to call me. And so guys, if you're kind of feeling, being a business owner, if you're not lucky enough to kind of have a partnership like you guys do, but being a business owner can be sort of this lonely endeavor at times, especially if you're a one-man show. And so a way to combat that is to get out there in the community. It's good for your business. It's good for your soul. It's going to keep you engaged and keep you kind of fueled up and charged. Because just like if you just hear another business person talking about how fired up they are and how excited they are and how things are moving, man, that's gonna tweak your fire up that much more, and you're gonna get back to the office ready to go. And so anyway, but I don't know that we're gonna get Michael back, and I don't want to hold you guys any longer just to see. It looks like his internet might be out forever because he's not even popping back on the icons down here. So guys, Matt, Kyle, thank you so much. Appreciate it. Glad
Thank you
It
for
was a
having us.
pleasure.
Yeah,
Anytime.
Yeah, and we may, I'm sure at some point with these expert interrogations, we'll kind of circle back around, or as we maybe do, webcasts that are more specific to topics. Like if we want to just isolate networking, then we may call you guys and see if you want to kind of get back in on that, just because we love. I love what you guys have brought to the table today. I think it's awesome. So there he's back. Michael, say what you need to say, and then close us out, man. Close us out. London is shutting down. They're ready for you to be done.
I don't know what the heck I ended on. All I said was you guys are amazing, and I know Jason. Hopefully, we'll meet up again in the future at Jason's event. I know he's going to have another one, and I don't know where else what else I said, but you guys were absolutely amazing. The internet seems to go out about every 40 minutes, so we're good, but we'll be ending here. So yeah, guys, I appreciate it so much. You guys have been amazing. It was amazing connecting with you guys. So I don't know what all was said after I disappeared for a few minutes, but
we're just closing
thanks,
out.
Guys. It's been a pleasure. If you do more of these in the future, or like Chris was saying, with specific topics, we're your guys. We're here for you. It's been a lot of fun.
Absolutely. I had such a ton of fun doing this, and if you guys are ever in Toronto, you gotta make sure to reach out.
Absolutely, man. Absolutely. Well, Chris, did you already give do we just want to cut them off and say our little thing, or did you already say that too?
No, I didn't get into all that. That's cool.
Okay.
So Matt, Kyle, we'll see you later, guys. Thanks, man.
Thank you so much, guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks.
Rock and roll, rock and roll. Well, gosh, sorry guys for my spotty internet connection here. I guess it works pretty good, but the problem is it seems to cut out about every 45 minutes, and I just completely lose my connection. So I'll be going home on Sunday, and I'll be home for a few days, and then I'm going to New York. But hopefully there's nothing going on while I'll be in New York. So we'll be Tuesday. We'll have an expert interrogation from the home base, and Wednesday's normal coaching call. But next week, I believe we're going to have on. I just confirmed my good buddy Alex Icon and his business partner UJ for 5 Minute Journal. They were one of the speakers at the event I was at for Mastermind Talks. But Alex actually runs for his wife a very successful YouTube channel called Luxy Hair with over 1 million followers or close to 1 million followers on YouTube. Very, very successful. He actually gave a YouTube talk while he was there too. So I'll have him give a little YouTube strategy, which is really insightful when he's on the call. But what we'll want you guys to do is make sure on expertinterrogations.com, if you're not on there, go there. If anybody's new and you haven't already signed up, be sure to sign up for our training call, which you can get all the information about how you can join the Insider program, which I'll have Chris talk about here in a second. But you'll get a free training call that we did that was about 3 hours long. You can do that at expertinterrogations.com. And you also want to get on the Expert Interrogations newsletter list so that we can notify you when we go live on future calls. And if you have anybody you'd like to see on here and you're loving this show, we've been doing it since February, use the suggested expert box above. We'd love to hear who you guys would like to see on here. I love reaching the unreachable and getting people on here that people would otherwise never seen on any kind of web show. Sorry, I'm a little under the weather today. I'm going to let Chris talk in just a sec. But if you're loving the show, please share it on Facebook and Twitter, guys. We greatly, greatly, greatly appreciate it. And so, yeah, but next week's going to be an amazing, amazing call. And we appreciate Kyle and Matt coming on today. I just met them guys last week, and they were absolutely amazing. So we appreciate you guys. Chris, you want to tell them before I pass out about the Insider?
Yeah, the Insider, basically, we decided to start a membership-only, essentially group coaching program, although it's kind of evolved from group coaching to an actual just killer community of like-minded video professionals. I think we have several hundred members now. And essentially, when you sign up, you get, Michael and I answer your questions for 2 hours every Wednesday at 2 o'clock Eastern. And if you can't make the live call, I mean, there's hundreds of hours, I say hundreds, over 100 hours of replays that basically you can go in, download, listen to on your iPhone, on your iPad, in the car if you have a connection through a cell phone. And it's just a great way to kind of stay motivated, learn a whole lot. There's back-end resources that relate to, exclusive training videos that we've recorded. There's actually a lot of contract templates that I put up there, other business templates that, it would take you hours, if not days, to search Google just to find the stuff. We've already included that stuff. And really, for right now, I've written 4 ebooks. One's called The Six-Figure Videographer. Another's called How to Write Video Proposals. Then there's the Videographer Business Plan and Freelance Videographer Success that talks about how to do well, financially just as a freelancer. We're actually including those ebooks for free. It's about, $200 in value, actually more than that, in value that you get just for free by signing up for the program. And really, but before you sign up, we want to make sure that you get a taste of what the training is like. And that's the reason why Michael was telling you earlier about going to those free training resources, sign up, watch that. You know, it's 3 hours. You don't have to watch all 3 hours, although I'm sure you'll stay glued. And it's also, I think, Michael, can't you download it as well, or at least listen to the audio from that? But so you don't necessarily have to stick in front of the computer for 3 hours. But a lot of our members say that the best value that they get from the membership is, you know, they're editing all day, and so they turn on the live call, or they just click play on one of the replays, and they're learning as they're editing. Because, you know, whether it's an expert interrogation replay or a coaching replay with members, where, you know, expert interrogations like what we did today is more or less you guys asking the people on camera questions that relate to their business, how they do certain things. What we do as part of the membership is we're answering questions 100% specific to your company, to your situation. Say, hey, I've got a client that's doing X, Y, and Z, and I need to figure out how to change this, or I need to figure out how to write this proposal. And Michael and I just attack it and really help you build the best strategy. Plus, all the members in the chat are giving you, you know, their resources and sharing ideas and doing that. It's just, we found it to be just an amazing thing. I know for Michael and I, it's been just an incredible thing to see that grow. And it's something we've added really just a few weeks ago, I think, was the Facebook group. It's 100% exclusive. You have to be a member to get in. And it's incredible. I mean, it's like no other Facebook group that I've been a part of. But I think the biggest difference between what we're offering at Create and a lot of other guys are offering is that we have zero tolerance for BS. I mean, if you go in there, nobody's going to be negative. They're not going to, you know, put down your work. They're not going to call you an idiot. They're not going to fight with you. They're not going to hijack your post, because you know what? If they do, they're gone. We don't care if they're paid members or not. They're out, because we don't tolerate that. The whole point is, whether you're at the top of the video production game or just getting in the video production industry, we want the people at the top to help everybody down, and we want the people at the bottom to grow so that eventually they can be at the top. So I think that, you know, I think that's about it, guys. Just check it out. XI call coming up on Tuesday, and Michael, I think we're good to go, buddy.
Rock and roll, guys. Rock and roll, rock and roll. We appreciate everybody being on the call today, and we'll see you guys next week. Thanks so much, Chris, for popping on here today. You guys rock. Thanks, Blair. Thanks, John. Thanks, Matt. Thanks, everybody, for being on, and we'll see you next week. Take care.